ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, incoming Chair of the OECS Council of Ministers of Environmental Sustainability, Monsieur Louis Boutron, the outgoing Chair and interim Chair for this meeting, Mr. Vincent Whitley, Honorable Vincent Whitley of the British Virgin Islands, Honorable Simon Steele of Grenada, Honorable Crenson Beaufranche from Montserrat, Honorable Kozia Frederick from the Commonwealth of Dominica, including also Honorable Gregory Riviere, Madame Sylvie Gustave Duflo from Guadeloupe, Honorable Eric Evelyn, St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Camilo Gonzalez from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and representatives of Honorable Maureen Joseph of Antigua and Barbuda, and of Honorable Curtis Richardson of Anguilla. Good morning to all, and welcome to this Council of Ministers and this segment. We want to, in particular, also recognize Dr. Didicus Jules, OECS Director General. We have special guests with us in the persons of Ms. Patricia Espinosa, Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC, and representatives of Ms. Alicia Bacena, UN Under-Secretary General and Executive Secretary of UN ECLAC, as well as Dr. Douglas Slater, Assistant Secretary General of CARICOM. Distinguished ambassadors, permanent secretaries, and other senior officials, technical officers from our member states, staff of the OECS Commission, and other distinguished invitees and attendees. This webinar is the third and last in a series of 3 webinars supported by the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project, known as CROP for short. My name is Chamberlain Emmanuel, the head of the OECS Environmental Sustainability Division, and I will be moderating this session. The first webinar in the series, entitled Delivering Good Ocean Governance in the OECS, was designed for technical officers and introduces the concept of a blue economy, the principles of good governance, and explains how ocean governance is being delivered in the OECS. The second webinar, titled Looking After Our Oceans in the OECS, sought to engage students, civil society organizations, and the public at large on ocean matters. And this third webinar today focuses on a blue economy for the OECS and is being undertaken as part of the 7th meeting of the OECS Council of Ministers for Environmental Sustainability. All webinars will be made available on demand via the OECS website. Before I go on to our presenters, the OECS is promoting and facilitating the transformation to a new economy in the Eastern Caribbean states, one that follows a blue-green circular approach. Such an economy is economically viable, climate resilient, based largely on sustainable domestic production and investment, and pursues long-term prosperity for its entire population, in particular its most vulnerable, through socioeconomic inclusiveness, responsible management of its coastal, marine, and terrestrial ecological resources, and is transparent, participatory in its governance. The underpinning foundation which governs the work of environmental sustainability is the Island Systems Management, or ISM framework, which recognizes that despite physical and natural resource limitations, integrated planning and management is critical if the islands are to become economically, socially, and ecologically resilient. The goal of ISM, therefore, is to attain sustainable development of all natural resources, to reduce vulnerability of the entire island and its inhabitants to natural and anthropogenic hazards, and to maintain essential ecological processes, life support systems, and biological diversity in the area extending from the ridge to the outer limit of the EEC. With me here today is Professor Dixon Howell as the key presenter. Professor Howell has over 10 years of global experience in bringing together stakeholders at all levels to deliver blue economy solutions in support of sustainable development. Among his many contributions to the areas of ocean governance and blue economy, he has directed the development and delivery of ocean policies, and this includes delivering the revision of the Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy, the ECOP, and the development of national ocean policies for 5 of the OECS member states. Also present today is Commander David Robin, the Director of the OECS Ocean Governance and Fisheries Program. Commander Robin is a retired commanding officer of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Coast Guard Service with experience in maritime safety, security, environmental protection, and fisheries monitoring, control, and surveillance. Professor Howell, over to you.
This presentation focuses on what a blue economy means for the OECS, why it is important, and how it meets the triple bottom line of growing economies, protecting the environment, and advancing social well-being. The ocean covers more than 2/3 of our planet and is fundamental to human well-being. It is the foundation of life, regulating the Earth's climate, producing oxygen, and absorbing carbon dioxide. Driven by a growing global population and the opportunity for blue growth, the ocean is becoming an increasingly powerful economic frontier. It contributes 3 to 5% of global economic activity, or $1.5 trillion to $3 trillion a year, a figure projected to continue increasing. However, there is a balance to be found. The social and cultural fabric of millions and their physical and emotional well-being depends on the health of the ocean. More than 1.4 million people in the OECS live on or near the coast, and at 2.75 million square kilometres, the Caribbean Sea is a crucial resource. It is critical that we manage our ocean space in an integrated and effective way.
The large ocean states of the OECS have much more ocean than land, and thus we need to recognize and take up the tremendous opportunities that our ocean resources can deliver to all our citizens if we plan, manage, and care for them in a sustainable and responsive way.
I once heard someone say that we very often look at the ocean in the Caribbean as what divides us, but at the same time, it can be looked at as what joins us together.
Nature underpins health, wealth, culture, identity, and happiness. The natural capital approach explains the value of nature and the complex ways in which natural, social, and economic systems interact. Natural capital is the world's stock of natural resources, including rocks, soil, air, water, and all living things. We get a wide range of benefits called ecosystem services from this natural capital, which make our life possible. The most obvious ecosystem services include the food we eat and the water we drink. There are less visible ones, such as climate regulation and flood defences provided by mangroves, or the coastal protection provided by coral reefs. Even less visible are cultural services, like the inspiration we take from the natural environment. Without an understanding of these, it is difficult to see the bigger picture. Natural capital is like financial capital. If we spend too much, we run up debt, which ends in bankruptcy. Similarly, if we remove natural resources from the environment, we run up a debt which must be repaid, for example, by replanting mangroves or restoring coral reefs. If we keep removing natural capital without allowing recovery, we run the risk of local, regional, or even global ecosystem collapse, natural bankruptcy. OECS nations depend on natural capital to generate income, so conservation of biodiversity is linked to social, cultural, and economic realities. It has been estimated that Anguilla has an annual natural capital value of $92 million, mostly in tourism and fisheries, reflecting the importance of these sectors to the national economy and their dependence on the natural environment. It has also been estimated that the loss of reefs in the BVI will cost $74.3 million annually in natural capital, mainly due to a loss in the coastal protection provided by coral reefs, which would have to be replaced with coastal engineering. This is about 7% of total GDP, equivalent to the annual profits of all the bars and restaurants in the BVI.
We have to take environment and social considerations along with economic for sustainable development. And therefore, I don't look at this as a juxtaposition, but as a necessary part of the process. So in that light, I see that by achieving environmental objectives, we will also achieve economic objectives within a context of sustainable development.
In the OECS, the marine environment is incredibly important. Coral reefs, mangroves, seagrass beds, lagoons, estuaries and beaches make up the coral reef sub-ecosystem, the richest in biodiversity in the Caribbean. 10% of the world's coral reefs can be found here. Ocean health is vulnerable to human activities and climate change. Biodiversity and ecosystems are under threat, and therefore so is the economic potential of the OECS. Marine pollution is ubiquitous in Caribbean waters and impacts natural capital, including fisheries and the pristine marine environment so valued by tourism. Understanding and addressing this isn't just an environmental priority, it is an economic and social priority too. The estimated annual revenue loss of coral reef degradation alone to the natural capital of the Caribbean is between $350 and $870 million. Environmentally, oceans must be managed sustainably to protect fragile marine ecosystems. Economically, national economies rely on the ocean. This natural capital must be protected and sustained. Socially, the ocean is in the soul of island nations. It is not simply a place of work, but a place for relaxation, exercise and family, an integral part of daily life. For all these reasons, a transition to a blue economy approach is vital to ensure benefits continue for current and future generations. A blue economy focuses on generating wealth from our oceans and seas in a sustainable way and nurturing natural capital. It promotes economic growth, social inclusion and improvement of livelihoods, while at the same time ensuring environmental sustainability. Economic development, ocean health and social benefit are concepts that can live alongside one another, managed by a range of marine sectors and government policies that together set out a path for the sustainable use of ocean resources. Economic activity should be in balance with the long-term capacity of ocean ecosystems to support this activity and remain resilient and healthy. A blue economy includes existing sectors such as fisheries, shipping, tourism and coastal development, as well as new sectors such as marine energy, aquaculture, seabed mining and biotechnology. For established sectors, the transition to a blue economy is one where they go beyond business as usual and look to operate sustainably. For emerging sectors, a blue economy approach will provide the supporting environment in which they can flourish.
While we were benefiting from the ocean for several years, I do not think that we were necessarily thinking about sustainability, but with the coming of the blue economy, I think that we have to think about ourselves and we have to think about the future generations. It's just a new paradigm. It's a new paradigm shift in the way we manage the ocean in St. Kitts and Nevis. That is, we have to do it in a sustainable way.
Making the transition to a blue economy requires good ocean governance that treats our ocean as a unique development space shaped by its ecosystem. This requires an integrated approach to ocean policy across all sectors that touch the oceans.
We must not look at that development in silos. We need to make sure that whatever development and what economic growth that goes into tourism also trickles down into the man on the ground. And if that is not done, then we'll be able to have an imbalance. So whatever happens within tourism, within planning, they must create that type of balance, or even the figures must show that tourism brings X amount into GDP, fishing brings X amount, diving and snorkeling bring X amount. But how can we increase? How can it all be done sustainably? We also have to look at the carrying capacity. That is very important. So if tourism talks about increasing tourist arrival or increasing yacht arrivals, increase of cruise ship arrivals, how does that increase impact on the marine environment? Is it going to be negatively or positively? So yes, numbers come in, but we need to look at the balance in terms of how all of these persons or individuals are going to use the resource and not diminish the value of that resource. Very important.
In 2013, the OECS heads of government endorsed a groundbreaking regional policy framework, the Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy, which was revised in 2019 as part of the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project.
So at the OECS, the sustainable ocean economy, or the blue economy, is delivered through the implementation of our Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy and Strategic Action Plan, otherwise called the ECROP. The ECROP is a document which was approved by the OECS authority, that's the heads of government, in 2013. It is the international best practice for regional cooperation on matters pertaining to oceans. It seeks to deliver in the areas of economic, environmental, and social sustainability.
National ocean policies are also being developed. Aligned with the ECROP, they allow for national delivery of regional outcomes and goals. An NOP is a framework policy. It provides integration, coordination and cohesion to a complex national policy landscape and guides sustainable planning and development of ocean activities, as well as decision-making on the ground. It doesn't replicate or replace other sector-specific policies, but provides the national direction and framework within which sectors such as fisheries, maritime transport, tourism, energy, climate change, coastal development or adaptation can coexist. OECS nations are establishing national ocean governance committees, the key mechanism for intersectoral coordination and implementation of NOPs, and for overseeing broader aspects of ocean governance and a blue economy transition.
There are some challenges, yes, in changing from a sectoral approach of doing business to a whole governance, whole government, multi-sectoral implementation of ocean affairs. Over the years, we have evolved in working in sectors. Now we have to roll that back to the indivisible roles of oceans and its multiple subcomponents.
Across the world, marine spatial planning, or MSP, is used by governments as a way to map the ocean's health and wealth. MSP looks to identify all current and potential future activities within a blue economy, and to map these alongside the natural marine environment and the social and cultural uses of the ocean, and is particularly important in guiding decision-making and reducing conflict over multiple uses. It allows for extensive consultation with stakeholders and users of the sea to allow their interests to be represented and develop a rational interpretation of how your sea space can be best used to further a blue economy. Most OECS nations are already applying some aspects of MSP through area-based management tools such as designating shipping lanes, allocating fishing areas, and implementing locally managed marine areas. Upscaling this integrated planning is likely to result in greater benefits in a fair and equitable way.
Ocean governance is of extreme importance, and marine spatial management, especially on an island, a small island like Dominica, where we have the greatest amount of economic and commercial activity occurring on the coastline. It is important that we be able to zone and to have different areas demarcated to prevent chaos and user conflict, for conservation of the marine resources, and for efficient use of the very limited space that we have for an island. So marine spatial planning is of extreme importance.
Planning for blue growth involves everyone. We all have a stake in how the ocean's resources are used. MSP needs coastal communities, fishers, tourism organisations, divers, snorkelers, shippers, the private sector and government authorities to come together and agree on a common vision for your shared ocean space and your blue economy.
I would say that the
whole wish list of economic goals and the blue economy can only be achieved from the grassroots. I believe that we have to look at individuals. We have to look at a critical number, and until we reach a critical mass, that is where we're going to see that we've achieved the Sustainable Development Goals and targets. So we must make it relevant to the individual on the ground. If it's not relevant to the individual on the ground, then we would not have achieved anything. When people think of, they ask themselves, have I benefited from this? They're saying, well, have I gotten more food? Can I afford to pay school for my kids? Can I do something? And to them, it's only real if the impact or the benefit is there in a tangible way.
As the OECS continues to transition to a blue economy, the region will more effectively drive the triple bottom line of sustainable development, growing economies, protecting the environment, and advancing social well-being. Only by working together can we secure a sustainable future for our oceans, our nations, and our people. We all have to decide how, where, and when we will be part of this new blue future.
Thank you very much, Professor Howell, for that excellent presentation. Now it is my honor to put forward the recommendations. The Council of Ministers is invited to note the information in the webinar, support the production of the Crop Blue Economy video by submitting your Blue Economy messages, video clips, for inclusion in the video by June 30th. Encourage promotion of the Ocean Governance Blue Economy webinar series. As concerning the Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy, ministers are invited to note that the revised ECROP was prepared on the basis of stakeholder consultations in the crop participating countries with the OECS Ocean Governance team, with the consulting teams of all the subcomponents of the crop, with partnering organization, and with the wider OECS crop implementation team. Technical clearance for the revised ECROP was done by the OGT, the Ocean Governance Team, on October 2019. The revised ECROP was presented to the OECS commissioners at its 37th meeting in January 2020. And the revised ECROP was shared with the permanent secretaries and accounting officers in the crop participating states, as well as the OGT. In the development of the ECROP, there are also complementary initiatives and aligned priorities, such that the Strategic Action Plan for 2030 to 2035 is in phases, short, medium, and long-term, each of 5 years. Their actions to meet the goals, outcomes, and vision, indicators for achievements, enabling actions for administrative, legal, and governance mechanisms, and the OGT, the Ocean Governance Team, is responsible for monitoring overall delivery of the strategic action plan. The complementary initiatives, which are also aligned to priorities, include adoption of national ocean policies and the national coastal marine spatial plans and the OECS regional marine spatial planning framework. They include strengthening the capacities of the OGT, National Ocean Governance Committees, OECS member states, and the OECS Commission to deliver the revised ECROP. This is being done with support from the Commonwealth Secretariat through guiding principles which are under development. There's waste management and the reduction of marine litter through several initiatives. National and regional maritime single window, which are supported within the OECS member states and with the Caribbean Development Bank. There's also an OECS State of the Marine Environment and Associated Economies, which is being developed with support through the UNDP GEF CLME Plus project. There is ProBlue, which includes fisheries and other initiatives. This is supported by the government of Norway and being executed through the World Bank. There is also sargassum challenges and opportunities. These are supported through the Department of Guadeloupe, one of our member states, the Darwin Plus initiative, which is providing support in Anguilla, the British Virgin Islands, and Montserrat, other of our member states, and through the World Maritime University Nippon Foundation Initiative, which is on closing the circle, and also with linkage to marine spatial planning. Additionally, there is the need for the establishment of adequately resourced and functioning national ocean governance committees. The Council of Ministers are therefore invited to endorse the revised Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy, ECROP, and Strategic Action Plan, recommend that as a matter of priority, the governments of Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines consider for adoption by their cabinets the national ocean policies and strategies and gap analyses as appropriate, delivered through the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project CROP in December 2019, recommend that member states participating in the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project CROP seek to involved in the third round of consultations for the delivery of national coastal master plans, the stakeholders identified in the stakeholder gap analysis undertaken as part of the CROP midterm evaluation, support as a matter of priority the formal establishment of adequately resourced and functioning national ocean governance committees or their equivalent in the respective member states and the provision of formal notification to the OECS Commission of the ocean governance focal points and alternatives, recommend that measures be implemented to strengthen the capacities of national ocean governance committees, the ocean governance team, OECS member states, and the OECS Commission, as appropriate, to adequately implement the revised ECROP and national ocean policies, participate in the investor roundtable during the Sustainable Development Movement SDM 2020, scheduled for September 23rd and 24th, 2020, and note with appreciation the support governments, partner agencies, and development organizations have provided through complementary initiatives that are aligned with deliverables in the revised Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy and Strategic Action Plan. Thank you very much.
So thank you, David, and thank you, Professor Howell, for your presentations. Ministers, as is customary for our next step, we will be reviewing again the recommendations to ensure they meet the comments that we received from you and from participants here. These will be circulated round robin, as well as there may be an opportunity to have a final look based on the scheduling of our caucus meeting. So there is an opportunity to submit any final edits or recommendations as we go through those final processes for final endorsement. We also, as indicated previously, we will be making the recording of this webinar and the two webinars available on the OECS website, so that ministers, participants can have access, and you can also assist us in disseminating to ensure that all of our stakeholders across the region have access to the information and can receive the knowledge that is required as we seek to make that transition. So on behalf of the presenters again and the organizers, we thank you so much for your attention, for your input, and for your lively participation. And we look forward to further dialogue on this important subject. Thank you very much.